Welcome. We are going to seduce the inner critic. Yes. Okay, so let's just get right into it. I'm going to begin by sharing with you a sentence that changed my life. This one sentence changed how I show up for my body, how I show up for my heart, how I show up for my family, how treat myself. This one sentence is actually so powerful that I went into two different forms of resistance when I heard it. Don't worry, we're going to unpack it together. So let's take a deep breath. Are you ready for it? Here it comes. You are the only one that can love you unconditionally. Okay, I'm going to say it again. You're the only one on the entire planet that can love you unconditionally. No conditions at all. Whew. Okay. If you're like me, I immediately went into resistance by my mind saying, nah, my husband loves me no, wait a minute. I couldn't even finish the word unconditionally in my mind before condition after condition after condition came up. Respect, loyalty, commitment to our partnership, friendship, love. Those are all beautiful conditions. In fact, I have conditions too. So it turns out that the vow, I will love you unconditionally, doesn't match reality. So then my super resourceful mama heart says, "Nuh-uh, my kids love me unconditional. No, I am actually teaching my kids to have beautiful conditions. I'm teaching them how to have healthy boundaries and how to communicate them clearly and concisely, even if that means they need to put a boundary up around me. Ah, so I'm the only one that can love me unconditionally. I'm the only one that can show up over and over again and love myself unconditionally. That left me what felt like a void. I was all alone in this big space, big open space. I'm the only one, just me on the whole planet. It kind of felt isolated, actually. And then I started hearing things. I started hearing voices and sentences. They were my voices. They were my voices of the inner critic. Voices swirling around me that says, if you just lose 10 more pounds, if you get another certification, then you'll be good enough. If you keep your mouth shut, you wouldn't be so loud and you would be okay. All the I'm not good enoughs, all the unworthiness, every time I bashed my body, I criticized my choices, I swallowed my truth that was circling around me. But I was beginning to see that in a different light, to see all those voices and actually hear the undercurrent. Because underneath those critical voices is the ancient primal coding of our nervous system. All of a sudden, I was seeing the thin layers of lies that they are. Well, that's not true as I watched it walk by. That's not true. I actually am fine. I don't need to do any of the things that these voices are telling me to do. Why is this here? Oh, it's nervous system programming that's meant to keep me safe. It's wiring that's inside of our bones. We didn't ask for it, but yet our ancestors passed it down generation after generation. And it's actually why we're here today in this modern society because we survived. If I'm not too loud, too bold, too over the top, then I'll be safe. I'll be able to stay inside my tribe. I'll get to stay inside my family. And I won't face the danger of death, the danger of isolation, the danger of exile. But here's the thing. I don't live in those times anymore. So even though that this programming is inside of my body, I don't need it anymore. I've literally outgrown it. As the queen of my queendom, as a full grown ass woman standing in my power, I don't need that inner critic anymore. In fact, I kind of feel done with it. So, This brought me to a choice. I could continue to allow the inner critic to make choices, to dim my light, to keep me small, or I could create new paths for it. And this is a perfect time to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Melanie. I am here to help you bonk better. Yes, my name is Melanie Bonk. I am a somatic trauma therapist, a certified love, sex, and relationship coach. I also coach CrossFit, so I'm with people on all levels of their bodies and embodiment. I am a wife. I've been together with my partner for almost 3 decades. We have 4 beautiful sons that we are raising together. I am a tantrika and a pussy priestess. That means I am practicing the philosophy, the devotion, and the practice of Tantra, which means I understand and see the spirituality, the holiness in everything. And that includes our pain, our wounds, our triggers, and this inner critical voice. So if this voice is holy, it's sacred, it's meant to be here, it's meant to be in our bodies, how can we use it? How can we create new patterns for it? Well, this is where my work in somatics comes in. There's cognitive therapy where we're going to sit and talk about our problems, which leads to amazing insights, so much understanding of how we work, the patterns that we're in. And it's beautiful. I love my therapist, but it hits the ceiling. So in somatic work, we're working with the body. We're updating this nervous system. We're feeling the body mind. We're labeling it and we're welcoming, we're befriending the trauma, befriending the wounds, befriending the inner critic. So that's what we're going to do today. Yay. I'm so happy you're here. So we've got the understanding of why this programming is here. And let's take a moment to pause and also say there have been thousands and thousands of years of war on our feminine nature. The patriarchy has created this environment where women are actually disconnecting and distrusting our bodies and our pleasure. We're disowning the wisdom of our hearts. Don't be too loud. Don't be too emotional. Never cry. Oh, heart, I can feel that. Because when a woman is standing in her power, when she's standing in her pleasure, when she feels the creative fire flow through her body, she becomes unstoppable, magnetic, free, and impossible to control. So, to begin this new pathway for our inner critic, I also want to invite you into understanding that the most powerful transformational tool available is love. So not only are we going to befriend the inner critic, we're going to seduce the inner critic with so much love. We're going to love bomb this voice, which gives us the ability to choose what we want to do with this ancient primal power. And then we get to use the inner critic's voice and that power for our own good to create new things. Yes. So we've got that understanding as to why this coding is in our bodies, why it's ingrained into our system, why the voice of the inner critic becomes so loud. And let me tell you, my inner critic, whew, she would come up in business. She comes up in school. She tells me I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough. But the place my inner critic was the most cruel was the bedroom. The moments where I am meant to be my most free, most radiant, most in my bliss, she came and she stole my pleasure. Like I said, I've got 4 kids. So my body doesn't quite look the way it should look. The inner critic would come in and say, ooh, oh no, look down. Your breasts look like saggy skin bags. Ooh, okay, switch positions. Okay, now I'm up here. Oh, I'm ready for the bliss. Oh no. Now they're in my armpits. Ooh, this position feels so great. Oh, look at all the rolls and the jiggling. Even though it feels good, hurry, switch positions. I can't even look at myself. Ooh, so vicious. The meanest that she was, though, was to my beloved vulva. She would steal my pleasure when my husband would touch my vulva. Oh, why would he want to touch that? She would steal my pleasure when he wanted to put his face down there. Why would he want to put his face there? When's the last time I showered? Does it smell? What if there's toilet paper? Oh my gosh, a hair. I am not enjoying this at all. And that translated into how I self pleasure. I wouldn't touch myself with loving presence. I wouldn't give myself the nourishment of self touch. I put a vibrator on my clit and I would vibrate out, completely disconnected from my body, completely disconnected from the actual massive amounts of pleasure that our bodies can experience. And let me tell you, there's no shame in that game. And sometimes I still do that because pleasure is pleasure and we need to grab it when we can. But this disconnection, this voice in my body that stole my orgasm, stole my pleasure for years, had to change. I wanted something more. I was so tired of hearing it, so tired of being in my mind, so tired of be swirling in my thoughts instead of being in the moment and swirling in my hips. So tired of being frozen in this thought pattern and not flowing with the bliss that can flow from our heads to our toes and all the way up to the cosmos. So that's when I knew I needed to change. I wanted to not hear this voice, but repressing it and suppressing it and just not wanting to hear it, that doesn't change. That doesn't make any changes on a cellular level. So I meet that voice with love, the most powerful tool we can use. It begins to shift. So I'm meeting this inner critic voice with love, with compassion, and actually with gratitude. Wow, inner critic, I hear you. Inner critic, you are doing a noble job of keeping me safe, keeping me alive. But I don't need you anymore. It was revolutionary. But to really begin to use that power, that primal power that's available to us with that primal coding, I had to create a subpersonality. And so that's what I invite you into today. I created a character, what this voice sounded like, what this voice looked like, down to the detail. So I want to introduce you to my inner critic. Okay? She, it's a girl, is myself, but in my very most insecure self. She is a catty teenage bitch and the worst kind. Eesh. When I hear that voice, I see her in her side ponytail. She's wearing a color block sweater, the kind that Blossom would like. If you know, you know, you 90s kids. She's wearing long black leggings and little black socks that when you pull them up and you fold them down, you can see the lace. When I created this subpersonality, it allowed me to see her for who she really was. She wasn't this all powerful truth saying person, this deity that I have given the power to. She's a scared little girl who's so desperate to fit in, so desperate to be in with the cool kids that she gets really vicious. And as I got even more crystal clear with how she looked, I could see the stress in her body, the tension in her shoulders. She's been working so hard to keep me small my entire life. Then I didn't see her as this enemy. I saw her and I wanted to wrap my arms around her and meet her with love. I brought her into my heart space and I said, you don't have to do this anymore. I am safe. We did survive. And with every time I did that, I could feel her body soften. I could feel the tension shift out of her shoulders. I could see her relax and breathe. So I'm meeting the inner critic. I'm hearing the voice. I'm meeting her with love, saying, thank you. Thank you for working so hard, but you don't have to anymore. And then my favorite thing to do is to ask her what she wants to do. Okay, she's relaxed, she's safe. She can take that big deep breath. And with the power of this coding, the power of this primal nervous system response, what do you want to do? How do you want to play? What should we create today? And that's just it. She's so creative. When we pivot that energy from safety to creativity, well, she's ready to grab her markers, her big tag board, and get to work. And when I apply that to my business, when I apply that to my family, when I apply that to my home, wow, we're incredible. We're incredible together. Nothing actually can get in our way and stop us. No longer are we quiet, swallowing our truth. We are embodying the change we want. And that's the power of somatic work. So, as a somatic therapist, I'm updating that nervous system. And let's just be real for a second. Because I decide to love my inner critic doesn't mean that she goes away. In fact, she shows up still every single day. It's one of the beauties of being alive. We get to always work on ourselves. It's one of sometimes the drags about being alive. We always get to work on ourselves. So when she shows up, I go through that pattern and I actually create space for her to show up in my life on purpose every morning. Every morning I get out of bed, I look at my body fully naked in front of the mirror, and I let the inner critic out. Go ahead. Do your best. What do you got? How about back there? How about over here? How about when I go like that? Let it out, girl. Let it out. And now I want you to know the truth. And I get to tell her that I've outgrown that energy. And then I bring her into the heart and I ask her what she wants to do for the day. So that's using the power that's in our bodies. That's actually stepping into empowerment. We're not repressing, suppressing, or ignoring or letting them run around with all the power. We're working together as a team because inside it's just me. I'm the only one that can show up and love me unconditionally every day. Ooh, yes. Oh, I'd love to hear how you're feeling, how this is landing with you. You know, it was, like I said, so revolutionary in my body to feel this. And stepping into that empowerment as a woman, I'm not just doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my mother, my grandmother, my great grandmother, and I'm doing it for all the women younger than me. I'm doing it for our daughters, daughter in laws, our little cousins, our little nieces and nieces. So this is an empowering act. And when we change ourselves like this, we change the world. We're changing the vibration of the planet. So I have created a worksheet so you can get to know your inner critic so well. You can create the subpersonality. And I also have a meditation available. So we're going to use in this meditation soft breath work. We're going to tune inward as opposed to tuning outward. And you're actually going to meet yourself with so much love on different levels. So you can meet yourself as a little girl, as a teenager, as a girl in her 20s, and you get to softly reparent, softly reprogramming all of the critical thoughts and feelings because you're the only one that can show up for you unconditionally. So you've got the worksheet, and then you've got a way to somatically embody the change that you want. And with that combination, you become unstoppable. Yay! Thank you for being here.